Vaheguru, 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 Vaheguru.
बलियो चिराग अंधियार मह सब कल उधरी एक नाम धर्म प्रगट सगल हर भवन मह जन नानक गुर पार ब्रह्म बलिहारी गुर अपने द्योहाड़ी सदवार जिन मानस दे देवते किए करत न लागी वार जे सो चंदा उगवह सूरज चढ़े हजार एते चानन होंदिया गुर बिन कोर अंधार गुर बिन कोर अंधार। धन धन गुरु ग्रंथ साहिब जी महाराज जुगो जुग अटल चवर छत्र तख दे मालिक दी हाज़री च बैठे साध संगत जियो असीसा बख्शो गज गज के फतेह आखो जी। वाहिगुरु जी का खालसा वाहिगुरु जी की फतेह। So साध संगत जी, I wanted to talk about a topic about Dharam कि धर्म की है, because आम तौर पे this topic is not really discussed too much in our community कि what is Dharam. And given that Sikhi is not like a religion, we keep saying that it's not a religion, because the word religion is from the Latin meaning of the word belief, a belief system. So if you've got a certain beliefs, that's it, you're of that religion. But Sikhi is normally described as Sikh Dharam within Sikh circles, so Sikh Dharam or Sikhi. So if it is a Dharam, it's important to understand what it is, the word Dharam. Now, normally one translation of the word Dharam is actually religion, but it's not an ideal translation. Dooji gal eh hai, why is it important to understand? Because when we get to Japji Sahib, the first khand is Dharam khand, right? Then when we talk about Guru Gobind Singh Ji Maharaj, they're saying they've come here to set up Dharam. If you ask Maharaj, why did you come here? What was the purpose of you? Guru Gobind Singh Ji says themselves that Akal Purakh said to them that मैं अपना सुत तोहे निवाजा पंथ परचुर करबे कहो साजा जाहे तहाँ तै धर्म चलाए कबुद करन ते लोग हटाए. Maharaj has sent you into this world to set up this panth, right? Spread this way. Panth means literally a path. This way. Spread this way, and wherever you go, set up Dharam and stop people from doing the wrong thing. So we actually here to set up this Dharam. But if we just limit it to religion, it sounds like Guruji came here to set up the Sikh religion everywhere. And then that would be not a good translation, because as you know, there's also a Pankti from Bani where Guru Sahib says कि जगत जलंदा रख ले अपनी कृपा तार जित द्वारे उबरे तित्ते लेहो उबार. Maharaj says, Guru Sahib, Vaheguru, the world is burning, please अपनी मेहर रख करो इसे उते, do some kirpa, whichever way the world can be saved, save it in that way. So the word Dharam can't necessarily mean religion. And the other Hawala, the other proof, the other quotation we can give from Gurbani is when Guruji themselves, they talk about in Sukhmani Sahib कि सर्व धर्म में श्रेष्ठ धर्म हर को नाम जप निर्मल कर्म. Here, one translation could say, what the highest religion in all religion is to jap naam and live a pure life, to purify your actions. But then, that doesn't necessarily mean religion, because Sikh Dharam, ek Dharam hai, but then you could find people from another Dharam who are doing that, then they become part of that Dharam. So they become the highest Dharam. So the word Dharam is best translated as like a word like duty. You're doing something which fits your purpose. जिवें एक गड्डी दा धर्म होएगा कि चलना. A car's dharam is to deliver you from A to B. Now, if the car has got a really good sound system and it's got a built-in TV and it's got the, let's say it's a Tesla, it's got built-in Wi-Fi and you can go on the internet with it, that's great. But if it doesn't go from A to B, it doesn't fulfill its dharam. So I've used this example many times before. For the human being as well, we've got a dharam, a purpose to which we were created. And that, if we start to fulfill that purpose, which is to connect to Waheguru and to live a dharmi life, a religious, but not a religious life, but a moral and spiritual life, this is true dharam. And this dharmi, insan, is a word this word bahut dharmi hai. You can use that in India towards any Hindu, Muslim or Sikh. He bahut dharmi hai. And je kahoge ki ye dharmi hai, then like he's a dharmi, then it becomes a negative word. And what it there means in that context is somebody who is inclined towards God and inclined towards good. One thing we've got to remember is that being a good person is the right way. For example, Mara says in Bani, Bhai ki Sant ka marg dharam ki paudi ko vad bhagi paye. That the way of the saints, the way of being a sant, the first step is to have dharam. Dharam meaning righteousness, justice, good actions. And once you start to do that, then you could maybe start going the way towards sant. So you can't get to the first, if you can't get to the first stage, which is what we're going to discuss now, what is dharam, then you can't really go towards the path of the saints anyway. Because the pehli paudi hegi hai, that's all about righteous action. Going back to the Visha, the topic, ki this word doesn't get discussed too much amongst ourselves, but is also really important. So, talking about the first step then, Dharam Khand, we're aspiring towards being righteous people, Dharmi Banna. Here, this is not just a physical thing only, because kai loki is plekhe vich pe gaye ne, like change insan ban jao bas. You must have heard this from quite a few people, right? Just be a good person. But just being a good person doesn't fulfill the requirements for dharam. No one in India, even if they were really good, would ever get called a dharmi insan. We must have inclination towards the Creator. We must have a desire to become of holy. So the two wings, like if we can say, of Sikhi is like spirituality and morality. So you must be spiritual, and in Sikhi context, obviously, it means you're guiding towards Waheguru. And then also, that means Gurbani, Part, Simran, and hanging out with Sangat. So those are the moral wing of the bird. And then you've got the other wing, which is this is a spiritual wing. And here the moral wing is going to be like doing seva, and then other things that we know about, ki kaam, krodh, lobh, moh, hankar, na ladna. To sort of fight with these things, don't let them consume you. And on the other side, try and embrace a life which is full of sat, santok, daya, dharam and khima. Truth, contentment, compassion, righteousness, dharam, and then khima, which is forgiveness. Forgiveness is really important, because if you look in today's world, forgiveness is not something that we are told easily. In fact, if you live in Punjabi families, it's the opposite. In Punjabi families, remembering what someone did to you and looking to take badla is kind of like the way that you're brought up. So we don't learn to forgive too easily. The problem with not learning forgiveness is that we can keep that poison in our heart rather than let it go. If somebody does something bad to us, that's their choice. right? They can remember or choose to remember the badness. You could just let go of it. And then your heart can heal. But the other person, they might not heal. They might stay in that rotten state. But you can at least get over it. So otherwise, if you keep it, there's two people holding the poison. And there's no need for it. So, Guru Sahib is giving us this ethical and moral way. The problem with some people, and this one talk about Dharam, is that they've misunderstood this word Dharam into being religion. So when you get into the first stage of Sikhi, which is Dharam Khand, what often happens is people, they become religious. Now they become religious, they become experts in the rules of religion. And then they go around lecturing everybody else upon the rules of that religion. Right? Because the word Dharam, as I said, has its translation for religion. Now, when someone comes to Dharam Khand and we talk about it to the students and explain what Dharam Khand is, normally it's explained as Maryada da Khand, that there is a Maryada. You see? So that's why it's easy for people that get into Dharam Khand to become very orientated upon the Maryada. And then they go around telling everybody off, ki any Maryada, Manmatiya, this is wrong, that's right, this is Gurmat. So it is a kind of Maryada. It is a place where we learn how to behave, what actions to do, what actions not to do. But unfortunately, because of that good side of it, some people can grab onto the bad side, which is to start pointing fingers at everybody else, to saying you're not living up to the Maryada and you're doing this wrong. So this Dharam, this level of Dharam, the first is Maryada, is supposed to help everybody on the path. Then there's another group of people that hate that any kind of Maryada. In Punjabi kehte pabandi lani hai na, to keep some restrictions upon yourself. Those people, they'll say, oh man, you religious people are always trying to stop me doing what I want to do. Yeah, every religion's got a set of rules and that will stop me doing what I want to do, and I don't want to follow any kind of rules. I want to do what I want to do. See, in that whole sentence there's two times they say I and I. Yeah, it's pure hommi. I want to do what I want to do. I don't want to listen to my Guru, is effectively what they're saying. So when we become Dharmi, is when we take on a Guru and we do take on some restrictions. अपने उत्ते पाबंदियां लानियां बहुत ज़रूरियां ने. Because in order to find the truth, we must start to cut away what is not true. Like you want to get to the core of an onion, you got to peel away the layers. Same way, if a goldsmith wants to find the pure gold, he gets a hammer and an anvil, puts the gold ore in there, and he starts smashing away to get rid of the things that they don't need. Yeah? Jehdi cheez di zarurat nahi hegi, onu fir aapa kadna hai. You can't expect to keep everything. So you can't, like for example, if a doctor was asked to cure someone, they might get a knife out. And you think, leh, main tonu kaise karna theek kar do. Governor theek karwa se, katna pavega. They go, nahi, katto na, wo to mada hai. Doctor will say, no, I'm expertly trained in the use of this scalpel, and I've got to cut this skin open, I've got to make this person bleed. Okay, you can put him under some nasha, so he's out of it. But in order to cure this person, I have to cut this person. In the old days on the battlefield, if someone had gangrene on their leg or something, then the doctor would have got a saw out. And if you look at an armed person and say, oh, this person is going to come to your house, get a saw out and saw your leg off, they will say, banda bada mada hai. But jira wo mada banda hai, you've called him to your house to come and cure you, but he has to cut something off. So getting rid of things, having restrictions, is not wrong if it has the right effect upon us. This is what Dharam Khand is about, is putting us into some kind of Maryada. So now we see those restrictions as essential on our path to experience enlightenment. Because after Dharam Khand comes Gyan Khand. Gyan tadi paida hovega na. You only get Gyan when you've already got restrictions, so that all the stuff that's clouding your mind gets put out the way. Then things can become clear. Like for example, if we're sitting outside in the evening and we're looking up and we can't see the stars, it's because there's light pollution. I don't even know something like that existed, but all the lights from our houses, they create so much pollution that you have to go outside and away from the lights to look up and then see the stars. The stars have always been there. The stars are beautiful. We hardly even look up and see the stars. The stars are always there, but in order to see them, we've got to get rid of all the pollution that's getting in the way and stopping us seeing clearly. So in Dharam Khand, we come into the Guru's Maryada. And this involves taking Amrit as well. So the people that are taking Amrit, don't get too excited. Sachkhand nahi pahuche hale. Yeah? There's 5 khands and you've only got to the first one. Don't think like some people might sell it to you like, bah, Sachkhand pahunch gaye. But it's not that easy. Yeah? Dharam Khand is purely coming into Maryada da Khand. We've committed to a Guru and we've committed to a Maryada. We've committed to a set of rules and restrictions that the Guru tells us. And if you look at the Dharam Khand and Maryada for us taking Amrit, it's mostly about Bani. Most people are so concerned about the 5Ks, they can't get over that. Once you've got your 5Ks, the Panchkakari Riyat, tusi rakh leti. You got Kesh, you got Kirpan, you got Kashera, you got your Kanga, and you got your Kada. Once that's in your daily routine, you don't really think about them too much. Right? You don't really worry about them. The thing you're really concerned about every day is your Nityanem. Right? And increasing your Nityanem and increasing your Simran. So most of your Rahat as a Sikh tends to be about Bani and also then fighting against your Panch Vikar. You know, people are stressed, they're angry. People are stressed because they're greedy and they want more and they're in competition with the people around them. This causes a lot of pain. Then they got lust, they got anger, pride, greed, attachment. These things are sinking us. So most Amritaris are trying to just defend themselves against these Panchachor and keep their Nitnem going as well. So this is the level of Dharam, just trying to get along in the spiritual way. Most normal people, when I mean normal in Kaljug, it means most Kaljugi people, right, are not even trying to restrict their lust, anger, pride, greed, attachment. They're just following it. It's leading their life. And whether they break relationships up, whether they drink themselves into a stupor, they don't really care. Not to say they're bad people, because I know and you know, when we go to work with the Gori, some of them are really nice people, but they're not really trying to take on a Guru and any restrictions in their life. Their restrictions come from their own self. If you come across 10 Gori, you can't tell how they're going to behave in certain situations. But if you come across 10 Amritaris, we know how they should behave to certain situations. Well, how they should behave, because we know what the Guru's pabandiyan are, what the Guru's restrictions are on how they should behave. Right? So you can point a finger at someone and you say, but you're a Guru da Sikh and you shouldn't be doing that. But you can't do it to a normal person because they've got no Guru. They've got no Rahat. So to be a Dharmi person is to take on these restrictions, but also to take on the prescriptions of Nitnem and Bani and Simran. This is the start of Dharam Khand. Now there's a beautiful quote from Japji Sahib which can kind of explain to us how not to get into the other problem of Dharam Khand, which is to go around pointing fingers at everybody and become like the Eni Maryada, E Manmatya, and start becoming a bit annoying. Yeah? These people are everywhere, but they probably were annoying before they became a Sikh. And now they've taken on Sikhi Swarup, they're still annoying, just they've got the Sikhi Swarup. And if you ask their family, they'll probably say to you, "Pehla to hi bahut tang karda si, hun bhi bahut zyada tang karda hai." Yeah? So it's not really, it's just it's how they are, right? They seized upon something and now they can use that to bash other people on the head. Yeah? Not saying that they haven't got the right thing in their hand, that they've got Amrit and they've got the red, but it's just that they're using it in the wrong way and pushing people away. And this is not good. We shouldn't be pushing people away from Sikhi, we should be bringing them into Sikhi. Many Naujawan now, when they see someone like me, they get a bit scared. When, like, if they don't know, like obviously they don't know the YouTube channel, they normally say hello, smile and say, but if they don't know, when they look at this saroop and they see the pug and the dadi, they get scared they're going to get told off. They think, I must be doing something wrong, and now that paisa is going to come over and tell me off for it. Because we're known for this. We're known for making them feel inadequate and not good enough, and we make them feel bad. But they might not even know half the things that we've learned just by being in a Sikh environment. And because they don't know, we have a go at them, and then they think, well, I didn't know, no one told me. Oh, this guy's having a go at me. They get a negative impression about Sikhs, about Singhs, and it pushes them away. So, the Pankti from Japji Sahib that can help us understand about how a Tarmi person's journey starts is one that we all know, but we've hardly ever used it that way. Maharaj says, Nadiya ate vaha paveh samund na janiye. In Japji Sahib. When a river, when you look at the start of a river at the top of a mountain, it's a little rivulet or a stream. And you can normally walk across them because they're not very broad and they're not very deep. Yeah, it's just a little bit of pani flowing down the river. Now, if you look at that river, as it gets into, goes deeper and deeper down the mountain, and it collects more water, what will happen to it is it will become deeper itself, and it will become broader, becomes more broad-minded, and it becomes with more depth. And as it becomes like that, it's obviously it's going to go closer and closer towards the ocean. When it finally flows into the sea or the ocean, what happens is it's very broad and it's really deep. And then when it gets into the water, Maharaj says, Paveh Samund flows into the ocean or the sea, and it says, Na janiye. It says, I don't know. It says, I don't know. But when it's at the top, and it says it's a small stream, and it's not that deep, it's a bit more shallow is what you would use as the word. Shallow, and not that broad-minded, but quite narrow-minded. So people that at the beginning tend to be shallow and narrow-minded, they say, I do know. I do know how to do this. I know how to do Simran. I know how to keep breath. What you're doing is wrong. So this is what happens at the top of the stream. But as you go further down, the people, they become more broad-minded and more deep. And now they say, I don't know. I don't know about God. I don't understand God. God's really big. Mainu aap nahi pata lagda. I remember this beautiful Katha by Sant Mani Singh Ji. He was a UK Sant, first UK Sant. Hooray for the UK. And he was a Naujawan. He used to go to the gym wearing tracksuit and t-shirts and go lift weights with some of the things in Birmingham. And he did a university talk. It's online, you can find it, Sant Mani Singh Ji, university talk. And they say to him, what is God? And he goes, I don't know. He goes, hard to say what it is and what it isn't. He goes, it's God. And when you listen to that talk, and he goes on for quite some time, you realize you're in presence of somebody who regularly communicates with this divine, but it's too big for them to comprehend. So they don't put labels. Yeah? And this is where the words like agam hai, yeah? Apar hai, that he's infinite. Agam means he's unreachable. It's too deep, too broad. You can't understand Waheguru. But the people that are in the early stages, when they get to Dharam Khand, unfortunately, they end up thinking, I do understand. I do know what God is. And end up going around to everybody else. And these people, they're not just in Sikhi. They're in every Dharam. You see them in Hyde Park going around telling other people they're going to go to hell. Yeah? You see them there saying, oh, I found it out. It's Christianity is the way. Everybody else is going to go to hell. And then you see his mate, similar kind of mindset, from the Muslims coming over and saying, oh, you lot are going to go to hell because you don't believe in the Quran. So these people exist everywhere. And really, it's just that their mentality is very shallow and narrow. That's all it is. Because they haven't yet gone too much into Gyan. Very easy to, from Dharam Khand, not to go into Gyan and just stay at that level. Right? And our job as a Sikh is from here to keep on progressing. Like that river, keep on going down the mountain, keep on getting deeper, keep on getting broader. Guru Gobind Singh Ji Maharaj is being told to go and spread Dharam, righteousness, justice, all across the world. And the way they choose to do it, the way that Akal Purkh orders them to do it, is through setting up the Khalsa way. And the Khalsa way again is a way which involves spirituality and morality. Without these two wings, you can't have Dharam. The communists, they tried it. They tried to set up morality without spirituality. They said there's no God, we don't need God. Let's just be good to each other. Right? But pretty soon, it became everybody was trying to get the best for themselves, and they were cheating the system. And the state said, right, well, they're not going to be good, let's beat them until they're good. And then it became authoritarian government. And it happened to China and it happened to Russia. Because it was meant to be communist, but it became authoritarian. Because people aren't going to naturally be good until they connect to Vaheguru. So this thing is a dual circle. And that's why Maharaj says, Sarv Dharam mein Shreshth Dharam, Har ko naam jap nirmal karam. And some people have mistook this to say ki bas baih ke simran kar lo bas. They said if you just do simran, then you purify your karam. But I've met many people that go and sit and do a couple of hours of simran, but when you go and talk to them afterwards, they seem to be full of anger. And they haven't really understood Bani that much. They're still stuck in their old ways. It's just they've done a couple of hours of simran and taken Anand. So what we must understand is that the way of just doing simran, this way was around before Guruji came here. It's nothing new. Gun mantra given by your Guru has been around since day one. In India, where the spirituality started from, getting a mantra and sitting down and chanting that mantra, this way has been around for ages. Sadiyan to ye kam aa raha hai. So if Guruji came here just to say the same thing, ek mantra far lo, Vaheguru mantra, inu japi jao, then it doesn't seem to make so much sense to me, because what was the different thing that Guruji brought? Yeah. Then we start to understand actually what Maharaj gave us is Gurbani. And Gurbani is the real gift which makes us stand out from other religions, because now if you look at Bani and understand how Bani is referred to in Gurbani as Naam. Again and again and again, Bani is referred to as having God's name inside it. Maharaj says, Bani Guru, Guru hai Bani, which Bani Amrit Sare. What Amrit? Amrit Naam. Amrit Naam, Thakur ka payo, jiska sabas adharo. Bani's got Naam inside it. Bani's got Amrit Naam. So people in our Panth have made the mistake of starting to say that Bani is just giving you guidance and the real job is doing Simran. But actually, what Gurbani is saying is that Bani is the way. Amrit Bani har har teri, sone sone hove, paramagat meri. You can achieve the highest states of spirituality through listening and reading Bani. Maharaj says, you've come to read Bani anyway. Ayo sunan padan ko Bani, naam visar. Ithe naam da arth hai Bani visar ke. Naam visar laga hai knowledge, birtha janam prani. Because when you forget Bani, then you've forgotten Naam. Bani is for us the thing that Guruji came to give us. And I met this Singh recently in Toronto, and he was sitting there discussing all about Hukum and Lekha and all these kind of things. And I was trying to work out where is it coming from? Why is he so concerned about Hukum and Lekha and what can I do? What can't I do? And then it clicked in my head. Right as I was leaving, I felt like I should tell him something. And then after I told him, he was so happy, I realized, oh, that was a problem. Pehla main gal kar deti, gahan wo inna khush hoya, te main lagya ki, oh, now I understand what his problem was. The first question in Guru Granth Sahib Ji is ki visachi ara hoye ki koode tutte pal. And Maharaj says ki hukum rijai chalna Nanak likhya naal. So when they say Nanak likhya naal, he was so concerned about the lekha because he heard the word likhya. So he was trying to work out, what is my lekha? I got to live alongside my lekha. But the word there doesn't refer to what God has written, not the God's hukum, but what Nanak is written. Nanak likhya na is referring to Gurbani. Maharaj is saying, live as per my hukum. Where is my hukum? I wrote it for you. Hukam Rajai Chalna, live as per God's hukum, but I'm going to give you the thing that you need to do, the instructions. We don't need to know how the whole iPhone works or how electronics works and how programming works to understand how to use a phone. ਸਾਨੂੰ ਕਿਹੜੀ ਲੋੜ ਹੈਗੀ ਕਿ ਆਪਾਂ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ PhD ਕਰੀਏ programming ਵਿੱਚ and electronics ਵਿੱਚ ਤਾਂ ਆਪਾਂ phone ਵਰਤਾਂਗੇ. Even a kid knows how to use a phone. Whether they understand the science is irrelevant. So what we need to do is follow the instructions for us. And that's why Maharaj is written Gurbani. Nanak likhya naal means Gurbani. ਜਿਹੜੀ ਚੀਜ਼ ਮਹਾਰਾਜ ਨੇ ਲਿਖ ਦਿੱਤੀ ਨਾ ਉਹਦੇ ਅਨੁਸਾਰ ਆਪਣਾ ਜੀਵਨ ਬਣਾਓ. Live alongside Gurbani. Live as per Gurbani. Nanak likhya naal. And that is the hukum of God. Bani is God's hukum. Bani ही सत्य है, Bani ही नाम है, Bani ही हुक्म है, सब कुछ Bani है. You can understand it all in different ways. The point is, Gurbani is the main thing. And Gurbani, funnily enough, is not made of just one religion. That's the thing to understand. Gurbani is not just written by a writer of one religion. It's written by writers of many different religions, but they all had the same Dharam. This is the bit to understand. They all had the same Dharam. Their Dharam was to chant God's name and purify themselves. They followed that Sarv Dharam mein Shreshth Dharam. They were people that followed the Shreshth Dharam of spirituality and morality combined together. And the reason why many people who are just jumping Naam are not getting to understand the depth of what Sikhi is here for is they're not reading Gurbani. They're not spending a lot of time using Gurbani as their mirror. Why do you use Gurbani as your mirror? Because when you're reading Bani, you're using it to judge yourself. Gurbani is made कि भाई am I of this type? ਜਿਹੜੀ ਚੀਜ਼ ਮਹਾਰਾਜ ਕਹਿ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ ਕਿ ਮੈਂ ਉਹਦੇ ਲਾਇਕ ਹਾਂ. If you come away from reading a part and you think I'm great, then there's been a problem there. When you come back from reading Gurbani, it should be like getting a few slaps. So you walk away thinking, oh, ਇਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਮੇਰੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਇਹ ਵੀ ਕਮੀ ਹੈ, ਇਹ ਵੀ ਕਮੀ ਹੈ, ਇਹ ਵੀ ਕਮੀ ਹੈ. Gurbani is supposed to be the mirror, so we start to reflect upon our life and how to improve our life so that we can become deeper and broader. We shouldn't come out from and if you spend an hour doing Simran, which is not, I'm not saying don't do Simran, within the hour doing Simran, it's helping you to get the pyas for Vaheguru, but very rarely does it get you to look at yourself and get yourself to improve. This is why Gurbani is important. And that's why in some people's circles, you see that they haven't really changed. They've been doing a lot of Simran since you've known them, but their personal life, their habits and adatan and how they're going about things sometimes in a bit of a wrong way, they haven't really improved because they're not spending so much time using Bani as that reflecting stone upon their life. Kasvati kehande hain. Kasvati means what is true and what is not true. Gurbani is that Kasvati. So everybody should try and use Gurbani as a light upon their life to say, wait, am I actually following the true path of such? Because in Gurbani you'll only find such. You won't find any jhoot. And that such can be the koda such. Jedi lodiya. We need koda such. Sometimes it's not enough that everybody says, oh, tusi bahut change ho. What we need someone is to look at us and say, nahi, you're not changa. Tere chale tak bahut kamiyan hai. And Guru Sahib set such a high standard. Then Guru Tegh Bahadurji Maharaj says to us ki jo nar dukh mein dukh nahi mane, sukh sneho ar pair nahi jaake kanchan mati mane. Then the person who's sitting there with gold earrings, who's a very nice person, does a lot of part, but they still like that cool clothing, that cool jewelry. They can reflect and say, do I really see gold as dust? No. I still prefer gold over dust. But Guru Sahib is talking about a person that has no attraction towards gold. They've renounced it. Then somebody else, Maharaj says, ki after that they go through all these pankti and they go, Kaam, Krodh, Jay, Parse nahi. They go that when Kaam and Krodh doesn't even touch that person. And you think, oh my gosh, how could we be in that state where these things don't even touch us? They're talking about Abraham Gyani. And it's easy to get satisfied at Dharam Khand. It's easy to sit in Dharam Khand and say, asi pahunch ke bas. We started to do Simran, do our nitnem, and then we limit ourselves to deeper spiritual growth because everybody around us is of the same type. Sometimes it's easy to have sangat full of amritaris that just come and hang out together and we do things together, but we're not pushing ourselves to go even deeper, into getting rid of lust, anger, pride, greed, attachment. I met some people when I was in Canada and I was talking to them about some problems and they said, "Bas, I'm just like this. I can't do much more. This is what I'm like." But Sikh kade ye gal nahi kehda. A Sikh never says, "I'm like this." Because if we say we accept defeat then of our panjachor, if we say, "Well, this is what I'm like, I've got these bad habits and I can't really change them," then we've given up fighting. But Maharaj is saying, no, don't give up fighting. You got to go deeper. You got to overcome these things. So whether right now we haven't even reached Dharam Khand and taken Amrit, or we're already into that Rahat, everybody has got places to grow in Sikhi. No one stops growing. And if you're sitting here thinking, "Well, I don't think I can ever get over my hankar and keep my beard," believe me, you can. First thing you got to do is keep it, and then you can start fighting the ahankar. You can't keep it or you can't fight the ahankar problems of a beard whilst cutting it every day. You're not facing it. You're actually shying away from the fight. And some people shy away from the fight and they don't realize they could win the fight. So harek Sikh nu apne aap vich ek cheez pran karni chahidi hai. They should take some oath to themselves. I'm not going to shy away from the fight. I'm going to face up to it. And this is why Maharaj says, Khalsa soi nit kare jang. Khalsa, the person has a battle every day. Doesn't mean you go out the street and go, "Come on, I'm ready for a fight." Not every day. That's not what this is about. This is about inside you, you know your enemies, but you don't give up. You fight them anyway. I see people right now battling against alcohol, battling against many problems that they have. This battle is the good fight. This is the fight we must fight every day. Keeping your case, all these things, they help you with your ahankar. Before that, we just look at ourselves in the mirror and we think this is who we are. When we start seeing a Guru's roop there, then we start realizing we've got further to go. To take on the Guru's roop is just the first stage, and it's a good stage, but we've got to go deeper and deeper. So Sat Sangat Ji, as I was talking about Dharam Khand is telling us that you're here for a long journey. And don't stop at Dharam, don't stop at Maryada, don't stop at these things. Go even further into Gyan, go into Sharam. Realize how many problems you've got inside yourself. Then get into Kirpa of Karam Khand. Enjoy the Majja of Sachkhand. Guru Sahib is giving us a path, but this path is not restricted to any religion as well. This is the thing to understand. There's people of different religion that are walking this same path of Dharam. All the sants inside Guru Granth Sahib Ji walk this path. Just because there's 36 different sants doesn't mean it's limited to those 36 different people. We accept that all the people in there are Mahapurkhs, Satkar Jogne. Now the Pats, they've been blessed by the Guru. We know that the Bhagats were especially blessed because they reached that stage. Some of them even say so. Kabir Ji in Gurbani says clearly he's become one with God. And the problem is, even people nowadays who are stuck at the Maryada Khand, they will say, "Well, Kabir Ji couldn't have got full mukti because he never took Amrit." Because they're still stuck in that mentality. But Guru Sahib has put the Bani in by Kabir Ji when Kabir Ji is saying he's become one with God. Guru Sahib ne kyun pai? Je Guru Granth Sahib koi jhoot nahi, to Kabir Ji keh rahe ne I've become one with God. Why would Guru Ji put that Bani in if it wasn't true? So Kabir Ji is seen as Shromani Bhagat. His Bhakti is seen as the highest stage of all the Bhagats. But obviously, one thing to remember is that he wasn't of the level of our Gurus. Because Gurbani is also saying, Sabte Vadda Sat Guru Nanak, Jine Kal Rakhi Meri. That Guru Nanak Dev Ji is the greatest. So we don't try and compete with the Gurus because the Gurus are beyond. But the Bhagats, we can aspire towards. We can aspire to have that Bhakti of Namdev Ji or of Kabir Ji, Talochan Ji. Because they are Bhagats, they're not Gurus for us. Obviously within their own Panth, Kabir Panthi, Kabir Ji is the Guru. So when we look at somebody who's a Kabir Panthi, we can respect them. Because you know what? They're following a very similar path to us. When we look at a Sufi of the Naqshbandi order, we can respect them as well because they're walking a similar path. Because somebody who becomes truly Dharmi, they don't divide people by their lines of religion. They look at the actions of that person and they start to appreciate. So when a Sikh baithaya and they listen to lectures by maybe some other Mahapurukh of another Panth, they listen to the lectures and they're sitting in Anand. Somebody else comes along and they say, why you listen to this stuff? Oh, to Baminiya, yeah, to Musalmaniya. Do you know what they do? And they start bringing you down and saying, oh, these Muslims, they do this, and the Hindus, they do this. But he's not listening to the person because their lenses are not that broad and not that deep. They're still narrow-minded, yeah, and they're still shallow in their thinking. But Guru Sahib has put these Bhagats of different backgrounds into Guru Granth Sahib Ji to show us that no, the truth is everywhere. And you will come across Mahapurukhs of all dharams and all backgrounds. Or sare satkar jog ne. And it's important, we don't have to really, you might say, oh well, I don't have to listen to them. In one way, you're right. You don't really need to listen to them because all the things you would ever need to listen to are already in Guru Granth Sahib Ji and Guru Gobind Singh Ji's Bani. Yeah? We've been given a khajana and most of us are not even aware of how much is in that khajana. So in a way, you're right, you could spend your whole life becoming an expert in Guru Granth Sahib Ji, Dasam Granth Sahib Ji, Sarab Lobani, of Pai Gurdas Siawara, Pai Nandlal Ji, and that's enough for one person's lifetime, to be honest. Kinna kuch padhoge in one life. You could then go on to reading Kavi Santokh Singh Ji. So there's more than enough within our own panth to keep us occupied. But when we listen to somebody who is reading to Rumi and reading other people, it doesn't mean that we have to say, oh, ek kachi bani hai. That's one thing to remember. This is not kachi bani. One of the most respected vidwans of our panth, Sant Singh Maskeen Ji, they were very well read in different people. And they would quote other people. They would even quote the Quran and the Upanishads. Now, people responded to them. And I want to give you one example. That you know the Sikhs in the old days, they wouldn't just do Katha in Gurdwara. Nowadays, for a Pracharak, you know what this is what we're told nowadays. And it's a bit sad to hear. I'll put it in a way that you haven't heard it before. But ajkal Pracharak nu eh kehnde ne ki Sikhan de bacche nu padhao bas. Because they go to Gurdwara, and in Gurdwara are people that come who are children of Sikhs. So they say to us nowadays, teach only the children of Sikhs, no one else. But if you look at the history, if you look at Kumbh Mela is a big gathering of all the Hindu different groups. So you got different dharams within Hinduism. They say that themselves. The Nanga sadhus, I heard recently, that whenever the Nanga sadhus walk and the other sadhus walk, they put a police line between them because they fight each other, right? Because they've got this, just like you might say when you've got Taksalis and AKJ, you might put a police line between, then you got the Nihang Singhs. That's what we're like nowadays as well. There's not much difference. We fight amongst our different Jathebandiya, and then we fight amongst other religions because our thinking has become very low. And I see a lot of Sikhs criticizing Hindus online. They start saying, oh, yeah, they're rat worshipping people, they think this. And then you got other people, the Sikhs, who are cussing Muslims. And these people are still stuck at the beginning of Dharam. They're still like narrow rivers and shallow rivers. Because they haven't come to appreciate there's good inside there as well. When Guru Gobind Singh Ji Maharaj is sitting and they've got, their friends, people, Pir Buddhu Shah, who's fighting in their army and their sons become Shaheed, Guru Gobind Singh Ji has got no vair with Islam. Why do we now have one? When you've got Pandits like Ramanand Ji sitting inside Guru Granth Sahib Ji, Guru Sahib has got no vair with any dharam because they're nirvair, they're nirpo and nirvair. But we ourselves, we become full of fear. The biggest fear I see in Sikhs, ek dar hai Sikhan vich. I don't understand this fear. They think that if they appreciate the good inside the Vedas and the Vedantic Granths, and they start to appreciate what's going on, Swere uthange and they'll have a dhoti on, Kashira will be gone, the case will be gone, they'll have a buddhi. They think somehow, by talking about Ramji, by talking about Krishna Bhagwan in a Gurdwara, next morning we're going to wake up, we're going to be Hindu. This is the fear they have. And because of this fear, they get vair. It's a bit like Yoda, when he goes, fear is a path to the dark side. It is true, when you start off with fear, you can end up in hate. And as Yoda said, hate leads to suffering. Yeah? And this is where we're now. We end up finding ourselves in hate and in fear. We don't need to fear. Je koi katha kar raha hai Ram ji di, Krishna Bhagwan ji, you can look at Guru Gobind Singh ji. They spend a lot of time writing katha of 24 avatar. And they write about Ram ji. In Vistar, in deep depth, they go into the whole katha of Ram. They go into the katha of Krishna Bhagwan. Now when people talk about this, they go, oh, how dare you use this word. Krishna Bhagwan, the reason we use this word Krishna Bhagwan, because in India, there's many, many Krishnas, isn't it? You can go on Facebook and type in Krishna and you see there's millions of them. So in order for you to distinguish between any normal Christian and that Krishna Bhagwan that the Guru Sahib was writing about, you got to say Krishna Bhagwan. Just like there's loads of Muhammads out there. Loads of Muhammads. But if you want to talk about that one Muhammad, you got to say Prophet Muhammad. So it's just a title to refer to someone. But people get scared by even things like this. You all know this become a Hindu. Gyani Gurban Singh ji, they came here for a week and they were doing Katha. They said something very powerful. They said Dasam Granth Sahib ji is not going to make a Sikh into a Hindu. That's not what its intention is. But if we read Dasam Granth Sahib ji properly and we understand it and we do Katha of it, it has the power to make a Hindu into a Sikh. It's the opposite. And this is why we're being broken away from our Dharmic Granths. We're being broken away from the true Gyan of our Guru, because the Guru is very broad and the Guru is very deep. And when you start talking to people about the broadness of the Guru and the depth of the Guru, any people of other religions will start saying, Bhai, mera dharam to bahut hi chota hai, bahut hi narrow hai. This dharam is deep and is broad, and I can fit into this dharam. And they will take on Sikhi, just like they took on Sikhi all the time. By Baljit Singh, I was just talking to him on the way up here, and he was saying that at the time of Guru Har Gobind Sahib ji, there were Muslims that were serving the Guru, that became so enamored with the Guru, they left everything and they became prachariks of Sikhi. Can you believe that? Somebody who is a hardcore Muslim then becomes a pracharik of Sikhi. This is what the Guru created. The Guru was not restricted. The Guru was not so narrow-minded. I said, Dafa ho ja. Who are you to come over here? But we become like that. We become narrow-minded. And we haven't realized how broad our dharam is and how deep our dharam is. So we don't understand that actually when you look at someone like Ramji and Krishna Bhagwan, they belong to us. They don't really belong to the RSS and these people. They claim them, but if Ramji was sitting today in walking around the world, they would not identify with these people because they are atarmi. They're the ones that divide. They're the ones that create kalesh. They're the ones that want to go marches through Punjab to show people that their dharam is better. But those people, they would matha take to Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj. Because their time has passed. Unna di jug beet gayi. This is the thing we have to understand. Ramji is not of Kal Jug. He's away, his jug is past. Krishna Bhagwan is not of Kal Jug. His jug is past. Kal Jug is the hardest jug. It's got the most amount of jute. And in this jug, then you need the greatest amount of purity to come down. So Ramji had 14 kalan, and Krishna Bhagwan had 16 kalan. That's what they say themselves. But when it comes to Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj, they are Sarab Kala Samrat, Purantam Avatar. They've got the most amount of power because here in Kal Jug, you need the most amount of power. And we now are afraid to say to people that you need to upgrade. Like any guy in a shop selling iPhones, if you met somebody with an iPhone 3, he would say, bro, you should upgrade. There's all these new features available in iPhone 6 and stuff. But we find ourselves unable to tell the normal Indian that, you know what, Ramji's gone now. It's not their jug. And Krishna Bhagwan's gone now. This is the jug of Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj. They're the avatar of Kal Jug. And you should be following Guru Nanak Dev Ji now. This is what Ramji would be saying if they came here. This is what Krishna Bhagwan would be saying. In their jug, they were the dharmi person. Their dharam worked. But now in this jug, it's about Guru Nanak Dev Ji's dharam. Because as I said at the beginning, Maharaj says, Baleo Chirag, Andihar mein, a light is being lit in the darkness. Sab kal udhri, the whole world is being saved. How? Ik naam dharam. This path of ours is naam da dharam. That is the way of naam. And naam does not only exist in spirituality, it works in morality. The person who's trying to purify themselves through Bani, the person who's trying to leave their kaam, krodh, lobh, moh, ahankar, that person is trying to take on naam. If you listen to Gurbani, because Gurbani is naam, if you try to apply it in your life, you're trying to live in naam. It's not purely that when you're sitting and doing Simran that you're doing naam. Guru Sahib is watching you when you're not looking at something. If you say, Waheguru, Waheguru, I don't want to see that. Maharaj is watching you and they're seeing that you're trying to do some hard work to apply Gurbani, and every single one of those efforts they're appreciating. And when you sit down next time and read Bani, you will get the laha of that you try to purify your mind. Guru Sahib is watching everything. And it's all naam. We can't divorce our spiritual life for our moral life. We can't go outside, be a bad person all day, and then come back and say, well, I'm going to do my Panj Baniya now. No. It's all linked. It's all ik naam dharam. It's all part of the one thing that Guru Sahib has created. And Sat Sangat Ji, remember what the main focus of this dharam was. One thing we're forgetting all the time is what was the purpose of this dharam. It wasn't just about us becoming dharmi. It wasn't just about us getting pure actions and getting purified through naam and through good actions. These things were not the only purpose. The main purpose of it was to spread it all over the world. So all of Kaljug comes under dharam. All of Kaljug becomes dharmi. This is when Maharaj says ki jahe taha teh dharam chalaye. Kabudh karante log hataye. Stop people from doing the wrong thing, and wherever you go, spread dharam. Spread this idea of doing the right thing. Now if you look at ourselves now, our Sikh Panth, we've given up. We've given up on spreading dharam. We keep it to ourselves. But like I was saying earlier, many Sikh pracharaks would go and do Katha at the Kumbh Mela. They would do Katha at different places. They wouldn't mind. They would go and do Katha anywhere because they're here to spread the goodness of Gurbani. And now we restrict ourselves from going to different places. Oh, it's not for us. But in the old days, they would say, Sare paase jao. Spread this everywhere you can. It's really important. Huma Canada hoke aaya. In Canada, you know, Sikhs have been there for 100 years. And I asked them that question in BC because it's been 110 years since that ship got turned around and sent back to India, the Komat Garu. I asked them that question, how many people do you think in Canada we've spread Sikhi to? And everybody was embarrassed because you could probably count them on two hands. We haven't really tried to spread our dharam, this Sikhi, this gift. But Guru Sahib says, Jeko khave, Jeko punche, tiska hai udharo. When he went to Rara Sahib, the arth of the word punche means to vandana, to vartauna, to give. Those who eat it and those that give it out, Maharaj says they will get mukti. Not just the ones that eat it, have bani and keep it for themselves, but the ones that give it out and spread it, they will get this mukti that Maharaj. Udhar means mukti. So in benti pravan karniya, remember to become deeper and broader like a river and not stay at the top. We have to progress. And see all these people that have been dharmi in history of mankind, they belong to us because we are following that path of dharam. They don't belong to anybody else, they belong to us as well. इन्हियां बेनतियां प्रवान करनियां पुनः चुका दिखे बख्शन जी गज गज के फतेह आखो वाहिगुरु जी का खालसा वाहिगुरु जी की फतेह
वाहिगुरु 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 वाहिगुरु